If you have your consulting partner interview coming up and you're feeling a little bit nervous, I will tell you 3 things that hopefully will help take the pressure off a little bit and prepare you for that interview stage. If you're new here, hello, I'm Anastasia, and for almost 4 years I worked in a Big 4 consulting firm in London, so I've had plenty of time to understand the industry from the inside out, and especially what partners look for. Thing number 1 that I hope will help is just to remind you that partners are also people. They're just humans doing their job and working in a particular firm for a long time to make it to that stage. But ultimately, they're just a person who's also winging it with their career, who's also trying to figure things out. And if you have put this partner onto a pedestal and you think that they're all-knowing and all-understanding, naturally, you might feel a little bit intimidated by them. But what I would encourage you to remember is to treat them as a person and as a human before treating them as this person who has conquered the career ladder of consulting. The reason being that I think when it comes to one-on-one interaction with someone in consulting, so much of that industry depends on your communication skills and interpersonal skills. So much of partners' work is to actually create very good relationships with clients. So it's completely interpersonal skills, more so than anything technical. So if you can show that you can make a connection, you can build that relationship with them in a personal way, rather than being scared of them, rather than trying to put on this facade of someone who has prepared all their notes and, has the correct answers. More than anything, for them, the role is about building relationships with people. So if you can treat them as a human and get to know them, as well as, of course, answering interview questions, I guarantee that you will make a better impression than all the people who will be reading out a prepared script. Thing number 2 is you have made it this far, and very few people do. Most people will get cut by this point. The thing you need to know is that partners' time is absolutely precious because they don't have any. And if you've seen a partner's calendar, it kind of looks like 3 clashing meetings at the same time. All the time, all day long, all week long. They have weekend work, they have all of that stuff crammed into a supposedly 9 to 5, which never is a 9 to 5. So what you have to understand is that it means that if you have a partner interview, then you've made it far enough for them to be pretty confident that you're a good fit. So mentally, you kind of need to treat it as simply a vibe check more than anything else. You have made it through all the technical stages already. And depending on the team that you're interviewing into, of course, there might be some technical questions that the partner might want to ask you. But in my experience, the questions that I was asked were way more about the cultural fit and how they would feel working with me than anything else. And this really helped me because I just tried to keep it in my mind when I was going into that interview that they already want me as a candidate. They already want to hire me. It's just the last filter out of someone who might just very drastically not fit in with the team that's already there. So I would encourage you to go into that interview with the confidence and the knowledge that you are already very, very far along and further along than most other candidates. So give yourself the credit that you deserve for making it this far. And even if you don't get this job in the end, you know full well that you can get a similar job with a lot of likelihood because you've made it to this stage in the process. Speaking of a vibe check, number 3 is that this partner probably had 10 interviews in a day and it's all blurring into one, and all of the candidates probably are trying their best to have the most correct, the best answer, the best script, if you will. What I want you to remember is that it's actually not about the correct answer a lot of the time. A lot of the time it's about the way that you speak and literally the vibe that you have as a person when you present your answers. So that, in my mind, takes the pressure off trying to deduce what they want you exactly to say. Because a lot of the time we go into an interview and we think that, if they ask me this question, what is the most correct answer? What's the most correct story I can give them? But genuinely, if you are, as cringe as it is, authentic, if you respond as someone who is confident, as someone who knows themselves very well, and someone who can actually find the answer on the spot, that will make a much better impression than someone who has rehearsed. And again, this is reflective of how consulting works as an industry. A lot of the times when you're in a meeting or in a workshop with a client, you will get questions that you have not prepared answers for, and you have to navigate that situation in the moment. You have to improvise, sort of. The thing that will impress most partners is how you respond in real time rather than what your script was like when you prepared it. And I think that means that what you need to focus on when you go to that interview is not as much preparing the answers perfectly. Of course, you need to prepare. You need to have some bullet points. You need to have some stories that you can think about in the moment. But more than anything, it is putting yourself in the best headspace, in the best physical state to just be your most confident, relaxed, and self-trusting self. And that is when you'll perform your best. And that, in my brain, is so much easier, so much more in your control than pretending to be someone that maybe you're not naturally. If this was helpful, and if you want more one-on-one support with preparing for your partner interview from someone who's gone through it, some time ago and has seen the industry, but also recently enough to remember what it's like, this is exactly the stuff that I can help you with in a one-on-one coaching work. If you're interested in that, I offer a free intro call where we'll just get to know each other and see if we click together. And I'll get to know what you want to achieve, maybe what your obstacles are with the interview process or anything else career related. And then we'll talk about whether or not working together might be beneficial. If you're interested in that, the link is in the description down below. And if you're curious to see the video that I recorded after I've passed my partner interview and I collected the tips that I had about the process, you can watch this video from some years ago if you're curious. And I'll see you over there. Bye.